Hello everyone, welcome back to the next episode of FTB Skies. In the last episode, we went ahead and set up this beautiful storage building here to get us going with some beginner storage. Now, I also went ahead and did a little bit of decorating off camera in between episodes. I threw in this large water wheel from Create just as decoration actually. The thing that's actually driving this water wheel is a very small little windmill bearing back here. And the way this works is you basically just place a windmill bearing down with a block as kind of the main shaft, and then you surround it with the windmill sail frames from Create, and that will then basically create what is a mini windmill. So the water wheel is actually just mainly aesthetic here. It's just kind of meant to look kind of cool. A little bit of movement in our builds is always nice. In between episodes, I have also been working on moving all of our storage into these various drawers here, because we do have quite a few drawers to fill, so I am working very slowly on putting it all through here. And I also have been upgrading these drawers with the various upgrades. So I've actually been able to move pretty much everything over there storage wise. So I completely got rid of our starter little island over here. It was kind of annoying going back and forth, so I'm glad that's gone once and for all. So we've officially moved on to the island here, which is really awesome. I also went ahead and set up this little mini smelter system at the end of the last episode, just to kind of give us a basic way to smelt some resources automatically without having to use a furnace with fuel, because this takes forever. So this is actually a pretty good way to do it. I just added a small little input area with this barrel and chute just to be able to dump them in more evenly to this area. In order to fully automate this, I'm going to have to set up a funnel into another barrel, but that's going to require us to get a little bit of brass, because I need to be able to filter what goes into that barrel. We don't want all the ore going straight down and in. We want to be able to filter it so that only the smelted ingots get absorbed into the barrels. So that's going to be something that we work on potentially in this episode. I've also done a little bit of design work here with the path. I made it a little bit nicer looking, a little more overgrown on the edges. So I think it looks really nice. And we're going to obviously expand this path out into different areas. But I basically just took the main kind of palette in here for the floor, which I kind of like as the main path for the entire island. And I'm going to basically move this and kind of expand this out to wherever the buildings that we're going to be building are going to go. I also brought the path in under here and created a little open area by these sifting setups. And as you can see in the latest update of this pack, the sifters have a new animation as the materials are getting sifted through. It looks kind of funny because it looks like almost that it's kind of shaking the material through as you would expect a sifter to do. So it's kind of a cool little animation they added, I think, but I thought it was a bit of a glitch at first. I tried to I tried grabbing and replacing the meshes here, but this is actually just the way that the animation is now. So I think it looks kind of cool. I also have a couple of little bee friends over here because in between episodes while I was working on that stuff, a couple of the loot bees spawned. So I decided to keep what stuff they dropped me, but also to put them on a lead just in case we ever want to use them for some honey later on. So they're here just for now, but eventually I'm hoping to move them into a more permanent location. I also decided to make a couple more of these rain shields that I had made in a previous episode. They're not too expensive, just some netherrack flint and a blaze rod. But what I did was I just added them over down by the mega torches we have set up. I put one, I just broke it by accident. I put one on each of these 4 quadrants, so I'm hoping that the radius this works in will hopefully work for the entirety of the island. I'm not 100% sure if it will, but I'm just going to kind of let this go and see if we get any rain anywhere else. And hopefully that'll prevent all the rain from coming when we are trying to do some recording, because that can get a little bit annoying. This setup is doing really well for us. We have tons and tons of materials coming in, but also that is ironically the problem is we are going to have a lot of issues with storage as we currently have it here, simply because these barrels are just not going to be able to hold nearly as much as we're going to need, because this is going to fill up so fast. I keep clearing this one out. It literally fills up like this in a matter of like 5 to 10 minutes. So this is just not going to do. So what I actually want to do at the beginning of this episode is find a way that we can import all these items and materials directly into our storage system, and then we can properly sort and filter and even put some void upgrades in those drawers, so we don't have to worry about any of this overflow and having to keep clearing out all these barrels. The one thing I do want to do Also, in terms of these resources, specifically the gravel resources, is I want to be able to process all of these resources into their ingot form before they get sent into the storage system. Simply because these aren't really much use to us as is, and we have to go and manually smelt up all of these to begin with. So what I'm thinking is we're going to want to set up a very basic way to automate the smelting of these resources before they get sent into the storage system. But before we get into all of that stuff, we have to progress a little further into the create mod. Mainly, we have to get to the point where we can make brass ingots. To make brass, we have to use the mixing mechanic with the mechanical mixer. We can combine copper and zinc with a blaze burner underneath of a basin like this, and that'll actually mix up these into 2 brass ingots. We have plenty of copper and zinc already coming in, so that's not an issue. What we need is to set up a nice setup for mechanical mixing and the basin. Now we do want to make a couple other little machines from create just to get us started. And I think what I want to do is actually set up a very beginner steam engine power setup, just because this is a very efficient way to generate stress units to then hopefully be able to power a couple of these create machines that we want. So our first step is to actually start with the mechanical press, which takes a shaft and a steel casing and a block of iron, which is very easy. We also want to get ourselves a depot to use with this. Basically, we need to use the mechanical press to create some plates. Now, I know we can use I believe there's a hammer we can use. Where is it here? There was the hammer from AD Astra. I think this actually also creates plates, if I'm not mistaken. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so we can make iron plates, but nothing else. So we're going to actually need some gold plates too. So we're going to have to... can this make copper plates? No. Okay, so we're going to be able to use this for the iron plates, but not much else, which is fine. This is actually what we need to use to make the mechanical mixer. So we can actually use some of these iron plates we have to make a whisk, and then also use a cog and an andesite casing, and that'll give us the mixer just like so. And that's the next step here, which we can come and claim. So here's where we kind of branch off a little bit. We are going to want to get into some of these other materials up in these parts of the quest line. Mainly, we want to get ourselves a wrench from create, which takes 3 gold plates, and also the engineer's goggles. Let's go and put the depot down right here, and also the mechanical press. Shift right click right on top of it like so. And we're going to just use some basic hand crank just for the first few that we're going to need, because it's just going to be the nice and easy way to get it going. And that is a quest, which is great. Let's see, we have 2, so let's go ahead and make a few more of these. And of course, this drains your hunger like crazy, so obviously we don't want this to be our long-term solution for creating plates, and we have 7 golden plates now, and make ourselves the wrench and also the engineer's goggles. The engineer's goggles are what we actually need to be able to see how much stress units each machine that we have is going to be taking up. And we can go ahead and put this in our head slot. So we might have to take off the hat we have here just for now. I'll put this away in our backpack, but that is fine. We can have this on just like so. And they kind of look a little goofy with the gold helmet on, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn those off. But now if we come in here, we can look at the machine and it'll show the current stress impact. And we can see that we can generate 1,024 stress units by just simply cranking with our hand. The create wrench is really nice because all you have to do is shift right click and it'll actually pick up any create objects instantaneously, and it'll automatically just come back into your inventory. So it makes cleaning up create stuff much faster. So I want to be able to make a steam engine, which requires the steam engine here and also some fluid tanks. The steam engine itself is very easy, and I'm actually going to want to make, I think, 4 of these. Unfortunately, we only have enough for 3. We're going to need to get a little bit more gold going. We also need some copper plates, so I'm going to go and grab some copper as well. And we can go ahead and just use the hand crank once again. That's enough gold, and we will do the rest with the copper. I'm not sure exactly how many of these we need. It's 4 copper plates. How many tanks does that make per? Just 1. Okay, that's not a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and make these last few fluid tanks. We need to grab ourselves a sink. So this is kind of crazy, but we actually have to use 2 pieces of cactus and a mechanical squeezer because we used I didn't make an infinite water source over here, and we are completely out of water. So that is going to be a problem, and that'll hopefully get us, there we go, a full bucket of water. We'll grab that, and now we can come in here and hopefully make that with no problem. The sink basically acts as a infinite water source. And we got an axolotl. Awesome. Oh, is he the pink one? He is. The pink one is definitely my favorite one. I will keep him safe and secure in there. I don't want him losing any health by running out of water. So let's go ahead and put him in there for now. We are going to need to provide this with a little bit of heat. And I think for now, before we can get ourselves some of the blaze burners, actually, can we get the blaze burners? Oh, they just take iron plates. Okay. We just need to make a bunch of these iron plates, which we can do with the hammer here, which is much faster than the press. And we can make, I think we'll make 4 of these blaze burners. The blaze burners themselves aren't super useful by themselves. You have to actually get a blaze inside of them. To get a blaze, you have to right click on the actual blaze mob itself with one of these blaze burners. So we need to basically get 4 blazes. And I believe the way you can do that in this pack is by using the fell pumpkin from Botania. And we have everything here except for the pumpkins. So let's grab a couple of pumpkin seeds out of here. So we will go and maybe just plant just like so. Maybe we'll just plant them in them like this. And now we'll just grow all the stalks up. So it looks like we can actually bone meal the pumpkin plant after it's grown. Normally in vanilla, you can't do this to help it grow, but now I believe to make this, I think you need iron bars as well. So if we get some iron, that should be good. So I believe to get the blaze to spawn, you have to place 2 iron bars like this. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you have to come over here and place the fell pumpkin on top. Yep, there we go. And we're just going to right click on the blaze with the blaze burner. And we're just going to go ahead and do this 3 more times. And there we go. That is our 4th blaze burner all ready to go. So now we should be able to set up the steam engine. So if we come in here and place our 4 blaze burners down, just like so, and then come in and place our tanks just like this. And I'm realizing that I vastly miscounted how many tanks this is going to be. This is going to be 4 tanks times 4. We needed 16. So that means that we need currently 12 more, which means we need to make 10 more of these. So we're going to have to go ahead and get a bunch of this copper done up here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick, and we can get some more of those tanks. Perfect. We have 12, and that should be good for what we need. The steam engines have to come, I think they can kind of go anywhere technically along this. They could even come like so. I think that's going to be okay for now. We are going to need some shafts. What you can actually also do, which I will show, is you can put it on the top just like this, which I think might be actually a better spot to put them right now. And then you can come in here with the shafts again and make sure they are all connected. Let's go ahead and turn the hover on. And there we go. So that's nice and connected. And that should be a working steam engine if we go ahead and give this some water. And it is. So right now, because we have absolutely no heat being produced, it is actually already producing us 2048 stress units. Once we give this some heat though, it's gonna go up quite significantly. So let's go ahead and grab a little bit of coal just to demonstrate this. The blaze burners will basically accept any furnace item. So they will accept a bucket of lava or furnace fuel like coal. So we're going to go ahead and use some coal for now. If we right click onto the blaze burners, now our stress capacity is 65,000 just from 4 of these steam engines. Now it is a little loud, so I'm going to hopefully be able to turn that down a little bit. The block sounds. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of these encased chain drives. These are actually really cool. So what these will actually let us do, right click on the top and we can see that both of these are spinning, which is great. That means that we can basically link the power and bring it down through one shaft. And as you can see, the coal already ran out. So we're going to have to find a way to automate the placing of coal into the blaze burner, because that's only going to last us 78 seconds per coal, which is not a lot. But what we can also do with this chain drive is place it just like this, and it'll actually change the direction for us of the rotational power. So we can basically use this as a gearbox and bring all the power down just like so with some shafts on all 4 sides. And now we can run all of our create machines off of this at least for the meanwhile. This is obviously just a temporary setup. Now, just to double check, I don't think that coppering into the side of this with coal actually works. I think the coal actually has to be placed into the blaze burner using something like an arm, like a mechanical arm. So let's go ahead and see. Will that actually work? No, it will not. Okay, I figured it wasn't going to, so we're gonna have to set up a different automation for that, but that's fine. So let's go ahead and get a couple of gearboxes out. Okay, so we're gonna come down here with the shaft. Let's go ahead and grab our vertical gearbox, mechanical press, and also our depot. Now we can go ahead and get all of this stuff done quite a bit faster. So let's go ahead and turn on our generators for a second by placing 16 coal into each of these. So that's actually not working. Interesting. So we're gonna have to get another solution to automate this, but for now, let's just go ahead and do this by hand. And what we're going to end up doing is just by using coal blocks instead of normal coal, because it lasts quite a bit longer. This is now rotating at a good speed. So now we can come in here and grab, for example, some more copper. Let's get a stack of copper and put it down on here. And there we go. Now, one other thing we want to get going as soon as we can is also the mixer, the mechanical mixer, which we have hopefully enough to make the whisk, which is good. And now we can make the mixer as well as a basin to mix things inside of. One thing we do need to get is actually one more blaze burner for the mixer. So I'm going to have to go ahead and get another pumpkin and some iron bars out. We'll put this right here, and then also just the pumpkin up there. Grab you. Let's go ahead and put the blaze burner right here with the basin on top, and then the mixer is going to want to go on top of that, just like so. Now the mixer has to be run using a cog, which is actually much easier than the other one because we don't even need a gearbox. All we have to do is go in here and grab a small cog, and we can just place this underneath here just like so, and there we go. We have a working mixer. Now, of course, we have to heat this thing as well. And let's go ahead and start making a little bit of brass, because that's what we're actually after, is a ton of brass. Okay, so how we're going to set this thing up is we're going to have an input and output right here, an input coming into the basin and output like this. We are going to have to filter the output to make sure that we're not sucking out everything we don't want to. So for now, we're going to have to put a advanced pipe upgrade in here with a blacklist on copper and zinc, and we'll get the diamond upgrade again here just to make it nice and quick. Place that in here, and now if we go ahead and place copper in and zinc in, that should start coming into here ready to mix. Now if we apply a little bit of coal, you can see that we're going to start to make brass, and it's going to come right here, and we can grab ourselves our first brass pieces, and all of our copper plates are done, which is very cool. Let's go ahead and put these away. Now what I want to do is basically just build up a nice supply of brass material. Now my plan is to go ahead and start designing a create mod workshop. I want to be able to make all the create mod items inside of one big create mod factory, and getting all this brass is the perfect way to get even further into the create mod and get potentially some really cool things like the mechanical crafter and all sorts of these other items as well. I want to be able to get some of these deployers as well as the mechanical arm. The mechanical arm is going to let us to hopefully semi-automate the filling of this boiler. In order to get the mechanical arm, however, we need a couple more things that we don't have. For example, we need a precision mechanism, which is a bit of a process here. So let's go ahead and see if we can make some of these deployers. We need 3 of these deployers to make a setup for the precision mechanisms. So the brass hand requires some brass sheets, which is actually very easy now for us to do. And I think it's about 20 of these. So let's go ahead and put these onto the press, and we'll put all of this in here to continue to be smelted up into brass. There's 3. And to make the rest of the deployer, we need electron tubes, which means we need polished rose quartz, which we can make by using some of this rose quartz and sandpaper. To make sandpaper, you just put 1 piece of sand and some paper like this. You can put the sandpaper in your offhand and the rose quartz in your main hand, just like this. And you can sand it down into the polished rose quartz. Now we have to make 3 of these electron tubes. And finally, 1, 2, 3 deployers. Now I'm going to borrow a little bit of power off of this main shaft here. And now we can go ahead and put a shaft here and a shaft there, place a mechanical belt between this shaft and this shaft, and now we have a spinning belt. The way we actually now go ahead and use this is by putting a deployer on all 3 of these like this. And what you can actually go ahead and do is take the wrench and rotate them. Not like this, you want to rotate them on top. So now they're all facing into each other, so they'll actually end up powering each other. The precision mechanism is made by using a gold plate and cogwheels, large cogwheels, and iron nuggets in this sequence. So basically, the first step has to be the small cogwheel, and the second step has to be a large cogwheel, and the final step has to be the iron nugget. We can hopper into all the sides here and then put the barrels on top. Let's go ahead and make 64 small cogwheels, which will go into this barrel. We can combine the small cogwheels with another set of dark oak planks to make more large cogwheels. And then we can go ahead and grab some iron nuggets as well. If we grab some gold out of here, we need to make a couple more gold plates. Iron nuggets and the large cogwheels go there. Spruce log on each side. It could be whatever you want, or it could be nothing. I'm going to put 2 barrels, one like this and that. An andesite funnel on each of these. And that is essentially all we need to have on here to make this work. So now we just have to get some power routed up to this deployer right here. And I think that should be fairly straightforward. 1 more vertical gearbox, and then also 2 cogwheels to get this to spin. So here we should be all ready to go. Let's go ahead and put the gold plate into this barrel here, and it's going to start creating our first precision mechanism. So this has basically gone through one of the 5 cycles it needs to. So now we have to take this out and put it right back into the first one. We'll go ahead and grab a couple more of these gold plates. I don't know how many we can do, but let's grab a few and just start sending them all through in batches. Now, one thing to keep in mind about these precision mechanisms is there's only a 80% chance that you're actually going to get the precision mechanism back. And there's a 20% chance that you're going to get something completely random, like some random salvage or scrap. Just be aware that there's a low chance that you won't get this. So it's good to make these precision mechanisms in bulk just to avoid some of that variance you can get with the percent chance of not getting one. And we actually ended up getting our first precision mechanism right here. We'll keep sending the other ones through for now, but this one is now going to be able to be used to create a mechanical arm. Let's go ahead and strip all of these and grab some brass and make our first mechanical arm. Now the mechanical arm can essentially do a bunch of different tasks. What we're going to use it for is to grab coal off of a depot and place it inside the blaze burners when it needs more fuel. So if we put a barrel right here and a depot, just like so, we can go ahead and use an andesite funnel to take some coal blocks out of here, and it'll only come out one at a time, which is what we want. And what you do with a mechanical arm is you shift right click onto the depot or wherever you want to take items from, and it'll kind of highlight it in blue. It says take items from this depot. And then what you want to do is go ahead and right click on all the places you wanted to place. So we wanted to place items in all of these blaze burners. So let's go ahead and do that. And also potentially, if it can, reach over to this blaze burner right here. And then we can go ahead and just place it down right here. And we'll see it start to work. So when it requires to be refueled, the mechanical arm will grab one of these coal blocks and place it inside a blaze burner, which is amazing. Now all we have to do is basically put a bunch of blocks of coal in here, and it'll keep itself permanently running. And given that we have quite a bit of coal coming in here, I don't think that's going to be an issue for us keeping this thing stocked. Luckily enough, all of our precision mechanisms ended up working out. So now we have 4 more precision mechanisms ready to go, which can be used for a variety of other things like the rotation speed controller, which is another really awesome item. I might actually go ahead and make one of those right now because we do have the things that we need to make it. If we grab a brass casing and a precision mechanism, we can get a rotation speed controller. What the rotation speed controller lets you do is essentially run a machine at a very specific desired RPM. So for example, if we take the rotation speed controller, and what we can do is essentially just use a gearbox to rotate the power in here. And so say we want to put a cogwheel on this and a rotation speed controller underneath. Now we can very specifically control what our output RPM is here, as long as it has an input RPM from some other side. So seeing as we have power coming in from the top, we can choose to now come in here, hold right click, and adjust what speed we want this to be running at. So now if we can take a look here, you can see that this is spinning quite a bit faster than the top part is. This is running at 256 RPM. Now what we can do is just take a gearbox or a vertical, let's take a normal gearbox here. And we can now essentially run the power out from here into our mechanical press, and that's going to be substantially faster. And now we can go ahead and speed this thing up to the max, and now look how fast our mechanical press is running. So let's go ahead and see how fast this thing runs. If I put the brass plates down, that is absolutely flying now, using 2,000 stress units, but that is fine. We have 65,000 coming out of here, which is more than sufficient, and that's going to be nice and fast. So we can now run this also to the other side if we want to. Now that this is running at max speed, we might as well just grab the power out of here and just run it this way. If I just take the gearboxes like this, just like so, and there we go. We just hooked it in with the encased chain drives here all the way over to here, and now we have this running at max speed as well. And there we go. It's kind of ugly, but it gets the job done. So the last thing that I want to get done today is getting to the end of this create section to get the mechanical crafters. Once we have the mechanical crafter, we can grab a couple of these other items like the alternator that I want to be able to use to set up a massive create factory in the next episode. To craft the mechanical crafters, we're probably going to want to look at getting about 21 of these to make the crushing wheel is the maximum size. The alternator is also a similar layout, but a little smaller. For every recipe here, we get 3 of these crafters, which means we need to do this 7 times. And finally, we can go ahead and craft all of these just like this into 21 mechanical crafters. These mechanical crafters actually do take rotational power as well to run. So let's go ahead and maybe borrow some from right here. And then we can start placing down the crafters beside just like this. Now each one of these crafters does take 512 stress units, but I think that should be fine. We should have plenty of stress units available still. So let's go ahead and just place all this down. And that is the shape that we're going for. Let me go ahead and just squeeze in here and grab a barrel, and we'll put this down right here. So what you have to do with the mechanical crafter is make sure that all of these crafters are connected so that they're all spinning together, which they have these little arrows to show you which direction they're going to be trying to craft things to. You want to make sure that all of these arrows end up pointing to one spot. In this case, we want all of these to face into this crafter, which will craft the final item and put it into this barrel. Let's make sure that we are aligning all of our crafters to do just that. There we go. So that should be hopefully everything facing into the right spot right here. To demonstrate how this crafter works, I'm going to go ahead and make a set of crushing wheels, which takes some andesite alloy, a piece of stone, and some planks, which are very easy to grab. Now what we can do is go ahead and place the recipe in just like this, where all the andesite alloy goes on the edges. The planks go on these 4, and the stone should go in the middle. And that went very, very fast because this is running at max speed, but we have ourselves 2 crushing wheels. What you can actually do is on the back here, you can merge inventories. So if I right click on the little transitional spots, like just like so, I can actually go ahead and essentially make these share an inventory just like this. Now we should be all good to go. So now, for example, if I go ahead and try and place the andesite alloy right here, it'll also place all the andesite alloy in all of those places that are connected in the back, which is actually really, really awesome for automating resources. Then you only have to pipe or hopper in items into one slot, and as long as it's the same item you want, it'll just share the inventory. It's just a little life hack I didn't actually know till much later on, so I thought it'd be worth sharing. So that is cool. We have ourselves the pair of crushing wheels, but what I'm after specifically is the alternator. The alternator we can use to generate power by using rotational force. And this is going to be amazing for our create factory that we're going to set up. So I want to craft at least one of these right now. So in order for us to craft this recipe, it's a bit of a unique shape. So we're going to have to fill in the slots that we're not using in this setup with some blank plates so that they don't actually get crafted at all. And those are called the crafter slot covers. Now we need to also make sure we have every other item that we need for this recipe. So we need copper spool, which is actually going to need a rolling mill from create. So we're going to have to go ahead and make one of these, which we can, which is nice. and that actually takes the copper plates to craft the spools. So let's go ahead and try and find a space for this. That appears to have worked okay. We're just trying to fit every single automation in here as jank as possible, it seems, but that is okay. Let's see if that will work and place our copper plates in here. And that is going quite fast. We are getting tons of copper wire, which is amazing. And that should be good. We also need a capacitor, which takes a zinc sheet. And then we also need to make an iron rod, which we can do by putting some iron through the rolling machine once again. So that is the exact recipe shape that we need. So that's all good. Let's go ahead and put this copper in like so, which I believe that's how it goes. The iron rod right in the middle. Andesite alloy should have to go on top. And then the iron plates, capacitor there, iron plates on the sides. And that should be our alternator. But yeah, this has been a bit of a jumbled mess of a create mod episode. Just getting all these things automated as kind of as fast as compact as we can here, because all this is going to be taken down and remade into a beautiful brand new create mod factory, which is going to be built in the next episode. And I'm very excited about that. Anyways, everyone, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description down below, and I hope to see you guys all over there. But that's it from me, everybody. I hope you all have a good one, and I will catch you all in the next episode.